Let's talk about Misfits 14. We're going to get into each one of these fights, Salt Papi's first main event, and what potential matchups this card may have created. The first fight of the night was Tempo Arts versus Ben Knights, and this fight pretty much went exactly how I expected. This is the Misfits heavyweight title fight, and when you put a guy who is pretty much built the exact same as Tempo Arts, it's probably not going to work out well for that guy because it's going to be very difficult to beat Tempo at his own game. If you get somebody who is taller, has a longer reach, that is where you're going to get some difficulty for Tempo Arts. He is going to struggle against somebody with the reach advantage. Here he was able to perfectly implement his game plan, put some combinations together, force the clinch, put all your body weight on him. He outweighed his opponent by about 30 pounds, and that's all he had to do to get this victory. Ben Knights, he was landing some nasty shots. Tempo Arts did show that he has a chin, but he did not have any combinations. He would land one punch, wouldn't add anything onto it, and was never really able to get going in this fight. Tempo clearly getting the win here, and eventually finds the stoppage after dropping him a few times, especially with those body shots. Great work by Tempo Arts. He's actually starting to feel like a champion for Misfits. When you first create these belts and you kind of just give them out to random fights, it feels like, it doesn't feel like there's much to these belts, but after they start to defend it 1-2 times, it starts to feel more like a champion role. So that was good to see. Nice work. Up next was Argentinian King versus Puli Arif, and this fight did not go how many people thought it would, including myself. I did think Argentinian King was going to get the victory by decision, and that's technically what it was, but Puli had a lot more success in this fight than pretty much anybody thought he would. He had a smart game plan. A lot of people aren't very happy about that game plan, but it was smart. He was constantly moving around this fight, throwing out some jads, keeping on his bike, engaging, backing out, circling, and Argentinian King did not do a good job of walking him down, cutting off the ring to force him to engage. He kind of just let him pull off this strategy. I think a lot of other guys in this tournament would have been able to stop that. I don't know if it was the nerves, because the kid does seem pretty skilled, but he didn't seem to know what to do in that situation, and it wasn't great. And moving forward in the tournament, he is going to have a lot to prove because a lot of people thought he didn't even win that fight. I know he had kind of like a face-off after the fight with Joey Knight, who's also in the tournament. From what we've seen in this fight, Joey Knight stops Argentinian King, in my opinion. But I guess we'll have to see what happens in the next round. And then we had the upset of the night, an outcome I completely got wrong, and it ruined my Misfits prediction streak. I had 2 cards in a row where I predicted every single fight correctly, and the first 2 fights of this card, it was going well, and this one ruined my streak. And there was definitely a big factor that I did not consider. It went over my head, and it had a big impact here. Mist gets the first round knockout over Ryan Taylor. I thought that Ryan's experience was going to take over in this fight. I did say that both guys were going to be very sloppy here, with Mist not having much technique, except he had some power. And that was pretty much right, except Ryan Taylor didn't seem to show any technique either, and he seemed fine with just going in there to brawl, best man win, I guess. And the big factor that I missed that I was talking about was the weight difference. This fight was at 190 pounds, and Mist had to have a big cut just to get to this weight. And he was cutting up to 8 pounds in his last day before weighing in. He is a big guy. Ryan Taylor fought Slim at 165 pounds, and now he's fighting Mist at 190 pounds. Ryan Taylor had to put on weight to make this fight happen. And then he wants to go in there and trade shots with the much heavier opponent, and that was not a great plan. He even said after the fight that isn't what he was supposed to do. He let his emotions get the better of him, and that's exactly what happened. Mist does have some freakish power, and I'm actually excited to see what's next because this was a great debut for Misfits. So there's definitely going to be some more opportunities open up for him. Ryan Taylor may be retiring from YouTube boxing. I think he'll be back eventually, but this was definitely a tough loss and a great debut for Mist. And then after this big upset, we went to the Most predictable fight of the night. Everyone kind of knew what was going to go down here. King Kenny gets the stoppage victory over Adam Brooks. We all saw that one coming, let's be honest. King Kenny was way too fast, way too experienced. Adam Brooks could not find his chin. He couldn't find him at all, and King Kenny was pretty much able to do whatever he wanted in there. Not much to say here, except for the fact that King Kenny is probably going to get a big fight after this. Probably the Salt Papi matchup, which I love. That's why they were on the same card. He looked sharp. He looked good. I can't really tell how much he improved because the skill difference was that big. But he went in there and did what he had to do. Adam Brooks says he wants to come back as well. Seems like a good guy. He just never really stood a chance in this fight. And then we had our co-main event, and it did not disappoint. Julie Polka versus Barbie. Julie Polka gets the decision win here, and it was deserved. Both girls really going for it in this fight, especially in that 5th round. They both wanted the win. They both were just chucking shots out there, and they were both landing. Julie was just better at sticking to her game plan. The counter punching was there all night, and she was landing off of it. Barbie, you can tell, was getting frustrated because she kept pushing forward, kept chasing after Julie, but really just couldn't find her in some important exchanges. Barbie wasn't able to use her reach to her full advantage like she could have, and because of how much height Barbie has, it's gonna take her more time to really just be smooth with her boxing. Julie looked a lot more just athletic in there. Her shots are snappier. Barbie kind of loses her footing sometimes. Julie's footwork, there was some improvement for sure, and that was a big difference between the two fighters. I have a lot of respect for them, just both really going for it in this fight, and that's what we wanted to see. I think they're the number 1 and 2 fighters from the female side of Misfits, and I'm really interested to see who they match up for them moving forward. Great fight. And then for our main event, Salt Papi versus Amadeus Ferrari. Salt Papi with the finish after Amadeus could not come out of the corner after the 3rd round. He was gassed. We knew that the 1st round was when Salt Papi was in the most danger here. Salt Papi's chin was pretty solid in this fight. He ate some clean shots and was able to keep moving forward. And even Salt Papi was the one engaging in a lot of these exchanges. He was really blitzing Amadeus for a few different times, and that's something we haven't seen him do in the past. It was a bold decision to make, but I guess it ended up working out. Amadeus Ferrari was just a madman in there. Lands the headbutt, then tries to smear the cut open with his head in the clinch. A classic MMA move, but this is not MMA. I know he has that MMA background, and maybe it just took over because he also shot for a double leg at one point in this fight when he got gassed. After that 1st round, the threat was pretty much gone for Amadeus Ferrari. He didn't have much more to give. He still landed a few nice shots, but you could tell the gas tank was going lower and lower, and Salt Papi's boxing, just clearly being better, was starting to take over. I was not surprised when he couldn't come out of the corner after that 3rd round because a finish was coming. Bro could barely stand up at that point, and Salt Papi was pretty much completely fine. He was just warming up. Very solid performance for Salt Papi, and a pretty exciting fight as well. A lot of those exchanges were pretty awesome. And now it leaves us in the perfect place to set up Salt Papi versus King Kenny for another Misfits event. That'd be an awesome main event, and I'd love to see it happen. Video coming out soon on that matchup, my full thoughts. But I do think overall this was a pretty solid Misfits card. It was definitely better than the last one. And for these non-pay-per-view events, it was pretty good. I'd like to see Salt Papi headline another main event in the future, hopefully against King Kenny. What did you guys think of this card? Did it disappoint? Did it exceed your expectations? Let me know. Subscribe for more boxing content and updates. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so any support is much appreciated. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.